Nancy Amadeo. I am the president of Marina in Motion, your host for this afternoon's forum. This is MPUSD. We have 3 candidates, and we're going to start in just a moment. First, I would like to introduce our moderator, Linda G. McIntyre. Linda G. McIntyre is an attorney who served as corporate counsel for the Franchise Corporation for Wiener Schnitzel restaurants before moving to the Monterey Peninsula. She was elected to serve on the Marina City Council in 1990 and subsequently became a legislative aide to State Senator Bruce McPherson, later becoming the general manager and harbor master for Moss Landing Harbor District. After 20 years, she retired from the Harbor District and now enjoys retirement with her husband, Mike, their 2 cats and 2 motorcycles in San Juan Bautista. So Linda, I'm handing it over to you.
Okay, I'm going to go over the rules of first, just briefly. I think everybody got a copy of them, but we want everyone to know that all questions must be applicable to all candidates and may not be derogatory or personal in nature. So as we got questions in, I would take out editorial comments to make sure that took place. The emails that either Nancy or I received will be seen only by the 2 of us and will not be used for any other purpose by Marina in Motion and will not be provided to any other individual or organization. Candidates will be afforded the opportunity to have an introduction and a closing statement of not more than 2 minutes each. The moderator or the Zoom manager shall have the authority to mute candidates that are not abiding by these time limits. No other prepared statements or materials, including through electronic devices, will be allowed. We are relying on the honor system for all candidates to follow the rules regarding use of outside materials. The Zoom manager will be the time manager by using an on-screen, well, no, we're not doing that. Nancy Amadeo is going to have a yellow card and a red card. She's showing them to you now. When the yellow card shows, it means you have 30 seconds left. And when a red card appears, your time is up. And if you have not finished, you will be allowed to finish your sentence, and then you need to stop, because otherwise we would have to mute you. Selection of starting order for opening remarks shall be decided by the draw of candidates' names from a hat and shall be reversed for the closing statements. This draw will be done live on Zoom. For example, each candidate's name will be printed on a folded scrap of paper. The papers will be shown, placed in a receptacle, and will be drawn and shown on the screen. Responses to the questions are not to exceed 2 minutes, with a rebuttal of 1 minute for each candidate if the candidate chooses. After the first question, response order will be rotated to allow each candidate the opportunity to lead the procedure. The moderator and Zoom manager shall have the authority to mute candidates not abiding by the time limits. The moderator shall facilitate smooth operation of the debate and to prevent the same or similar question from being asked multiple times. Candidates may take notes during the debate. Candidates may not use any other materials or other aids to assist in answering questions. No campaign signs are allowed to be displayed during the debate. Candidates violating this rule will be muted or removed by the Zoom manager until the violation is corrected. And at this time, I shall introduce each of, first Nancy is going to draw your names from the hat so we can determine what order the questions will be asked.
Okay. So as you can see, name, folding it in the hat. See, in the hat. Name, folding it, and again in the hat. And finally, name, folding it, and at last in the hat. And now I'm going to shake it up really good and draw the first name And the first name is Tom Jennings. So you will do your opening statement first and answer the question first. Oops, I almost forgot. Okay, the second one, Joe Williams. So you will be the second to give your opening statement. And just so you know, there's one left. And that belongs to David Bacon. So you'll be the third.
Okay, Mr. Jennings, did you want to make your opening statement now?
Sure, I can do that. I'm Tom Jennings. Improvement of our local school system has been a passion of mine for 25, 26, 28, gosh only knows how many years. My experience has shown me the importance of parents, teachers, school staff, administration, and community members working together as a team to best serve our students. My posts on the California State PTA, the board, MPUSD Board of Trustees, community, the State PTA, Community Concerns Commission, Finance Commission, and the District PTA has given me the experience to make the critical decisions about curriculum finance to best represent our community. Over the years, I've learned that a school board is especially crucial when children need exceptional consideration and care. Therefore, I want to continue to do my best to contribute to MPUSD school community and ensure that every child's needs are met. First and foremost, I'll continue to ensure that the children are well protected, as quality education is the primary duty of a school board member. Moreover, I will ensure the accessibility to the rest of the community, because accountability for the decisions and upstanding cooperation are vital for stable and safe schools. As a school board member, I'll continue to work hard for students to ensure they receive the most desirable school education for every tax dollar spent. Thank you.
Okay, and Mr. Williams, opening statement.
Good afternoon, voters. My name is Joseph Williams. Please call me Joe. I'm running for the Monterey Peninsula Unified School District trustee position in District 2, which is the area of Marina, mostly south of Rain Dollar Avenue in the seaside city limits. First, I want to say that I respect each candidate. Although we may disagree on different issues, I'm not going to denigrate any of my candidate opponents. Why am I seeking a trustee position on the school board? I'm promoting excellence in education for your kids. I'm the candidate who will focus on preventing critical race theory from being taught in our schools and protecting parents' rights. Critical race theory is another version of Marxism. You destroy a community by calling one kid an oppressor and another oppressed. Protecting students' rights is not about not allowing schools from sexualizing students through gender identity ideology from kindergarten through the 12th grade. The problem is demonstrated in the upcoming Measure Q and a lawsuit in the Spreckles Union School District. I'm here to prevent it from taking hold in this school district. Parents, your kids belong to you, not the school district, not the county, not the state. I believe my greatest qualifications, though, is my desire to see your child succeed academically. That concludes my introduction. Thank you.
Okay, and Mr. Bacon, an opening statement.
Hi, my name is David Bacon. I'm running for school board, specifically because I'm a constitutionalist and I understand the rights and fundamental aspects of what protecting those parental rights are. I also am studying, I've currently finished and studied most of my education through Hillsdale College on the proper understanding of education of the K-12 system. And I do believe that this gender theory that is being pushed around the nation, I've lived it for 7 years. I've understood it, and I have an understanding of what it can do to a child's mind specifically, and I don't want that harm to come to a child. So I believe in parental rights and the parental involvements within the school, administration, the staff members, and the teachers. Thank you.
Okay, I was remiss. I was supposed to introduce you, each of you with your own little bio. I have a brief little bio for each of you that I will present it now. David Bacon is a constitutionalist and is continuing his studies at Hillsdale College. He lived the life of gender theory for 7 years and understands the negative outcomes of what it can bring. He believes in parental rights and involvement in their children's education. Tom Jennings and his wife have been residents of Marina since 1994 and raised 2 sons, Joshua and Jerry, who attended Monterey Peninsula Unified School District schools, Marina Del Mar and Crumpton Elementary, Los Arbalos Middle, and Seaside High. Tom is a project manager for an industrial and commercial electrical contractor, and for nearly 10 years, he has represented the community on the Monterey Peninsula Unified School District Board of Education. Joseph Williams is running for the Marina School Board, written on your voting ballot as the Monterey Peninsula Unified School District trustee representing District 2. He is running for this office because he wants children in the school district to get the best education they can, and he wants to work with all stakeholders to enhance the students' success. And having done that, we are ready to go to the questions. So in the order that your name was pulled out of the hat, Tom Jennings, you'll be going first. And the question is, what will you do to address the long lingering problem of high truancy rates by Marina students?
Okay, well, first and foremost, the district has been addressing those concerns. We have started a program, an attendance awareness program that has been working, improving our attendance rates. I think that what we're doing is working. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely, there's room for improvement. If someone has ideas on how to improve it, I recommend that they contact the board member, contact the superintendent's office. We're happy to hear from you. We want to hear from anybody that has ideas, because we don't have all the ideas sitting at the board. We listen to our community and kind of weigh all the possibilities, and if it's good for kids, that's what we'll do. We do believe that kids need to attend school. It's very important for their future. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Williams, same question to you.
Yeah, I have to go along with Mr. Jennings. This is going to require effort by all stakeholders, especially the parents. I mean, a lot of times the parents assume that their child is in school, and then they may get a call saying their son or daughter is not been attending 4th, 5th, and 6th period. It's like, okay, the school can do its part by letting the parents know if they're there, but it's up to the parents to make sure that their kids are motivated to not cut school. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Bacon.
I do also have to agree with Jennings, specifically on the fact that it's a troublesome task. It's not easy to inspire a child to want to learn. And that's where I think we could probably do with a little more of that type of inspirational work ethic, I guess we could add to it to help the child understand a little bit more, not just from the parents, and maybe have a little bit more, I guess, parental meetings with like parent teacher conferences a little bit more to might help bring in some of that stuff together. I don't know. There's just a lot of like both of the candidates said, there's a lot of different ways we could go about it. It's just what is the proper way to do it. And I think what perfect step would be to start with the inspiration. And it does start with the parents, and then it trickles down to the teachers and the staff members and stuff like that to help keep the child inspired to want to stay, because it's not easy. Thank you.
Mr. Jennings, did you have a rebuttal?
No rebuttal. I just like to reiterate communication and education of the parents and the students is the importance to coming to school, and also how, when they don't come to school, it affects our funding. Funding is key in K-12 education. Without the funding, we can't properly educate your children. So send them to school, make sure they're at school. If you get the phone call, follow up. It's very, very important.
Okay, Mr. Williams, do you have any rebuttal?
No rebuttal.
Mr. Bacon?
No rebuttal.
Okay, moving on to the next question. We're rotating the order in which they'll be answered. And Joe Williams, this question will go first to you. With some 40% of our taxes going to education, are Marina schools getting their fair share of revenue?
That's an excellent question. And I would say, for the most part, yes, based on how state funding of schools is allocated based on per pupil basis. Thank you.
Mr. Bacon?
Well, as what Williams spoke about earlier, that's just it's about how many students are attending, mostly about the area, the size of the area, the residents, how many kids are attending that school. So there's a lot of give and take into the concept as well. There is some things that I do believe are being funded properly. There's just some other things that we could maybe take a second look at. There's a lot of information there, money specifically, especially on the if it is being fair or not. I believe it is. There's just, you have to look at it from the environmental standpoints.
Okay, Mr. Jennings?
I believe that the funding is proper. We get approximately, I think it's a little over $8,000 a year per student for each student that attends the MPUSD. The way the district allocates the budget obviously is dependent on the number of students in the schools. And, you know, I believe we're being properly funded. Is there work to do? Yeah, I think there is work to do. There's work to do, period, on state and federal funding, period, to properly fund our schools. But I believe that our funding issues come from the state and from the federal dollars that we receive, not so much how the district's allocating the funding, as we believe that we are one district and each student in the district matters.
Mr. Williams, do you have any rebuttal?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Bacon?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Jennings?
No, ma'am.
I haven't been called ma'am for quite a while, so that's pretty, I could be called worse. Okay, the next question will first go to Mr. Bacon. And the question is, what are your thoughts on charter schools, and do you support their ability to provide a viable alternative to conventional public schools?
The thing about charter schools is that it has its funding from the government. Yes, there is the taxpayer funding of it, and they don't have to go by certain guidelines and certain standards and stuff. So they can have their own adjustments and stuff like that. And I do believe that charter schools are doing a really good job in California. Overall, overall in the state alone was an average about a B from 2021 to 2022 is what I think is the last time I checked it. So I do believe that charter schools are a valid and an important foundation for school, for students specifically. Is it being used properly? I think it is. I think there could be some room. There room for improvement? Always, always. Thank you.
Mr. Jennings.
Absolutely. I support charter schools. I think charter schools provide a great service for students and families. Again, there's always work to do. I mean, there's always places to improve. Charter schools, they have the ability to concentrate on specific areas such as arts, education, and things like that, that they have more ability to move their money around in their school in order to do that. I think charter schools are a choice for parents, and we need to have those choices. Parents need to have choices of where they can send their kids. It shouldn't be free. You know, obviously charter schools are free, such as public schools. If a parent wants to send their kid to a private school, that's their decision. But I believe that education comes back to a parent. And if a parent decides that a charter school is best for their child, then that's absolutely where they should send them. If they believe that Marina High School is the best for their child, then that's where they should send them. Thank you.
Mr. Williams.
You know, Mr. Jennings brought up a couple of good points. I think charter schools are an excellent alternative to public schools. That doesn't mean that public schools aren't good. I think the school district works very hard to ensure a quality education for each child. I do think the charter schools provide a viable alternative, as do private schools. I think school choice is excellent for parents within a school district to say, you know, I would prefer to send my child to a public school or a charter school or a private school. So I do support school choice. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Bacon, do you have any rebuttal?
Just an agreement with the two other candidates. I do also agree that there should be school choice for parents and what they do with their children and how they should learn.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings.
Just a reminder that there's specific education code that has to be followed, regardless of the type of school other than private school. There are standards, obviously, and they do try to follow the ed code, but there is specific education code on what your student is taught. And I believe that charter schools have a little bit more autonomy and can do more than, say, a public school can do. But I do believe, again, that they're all viable alternatives for parents to send their students.
Okay, and Mr. Williams.
No rebuttal.
Okay, we are going to go back to the original rotation now. And this question will go to Mr. Jennings. What measures have you or will you support as a board member to promote safe, inclusive, and supportive education in schools?
Well, at our school district, we have several programs to keep students safe, or multi-tiered systems of support play a big part in that. We have great staff that continue to find different ways of ensuring safety in our schools. I think that's about what I got.
Okay, Mr. Williams.
Yeah, I'd like to make 2 points. One, I think each child should be treated equally regardless of what their backgrounds are. And going to school is a place where kids can learn and grow and socialize and together and get a good education from the teacher. Now, I would add that school safety is important these days. And I wouldn't, I would support increased measures to make sure all the kids are safe, and whatever grade they may be from K through 12. And I think this needs to be reviewed by the board. Thank you.
Mr. Bacon.
I've seen the tier step system of the school system because I used to attend Seaside High School I graduated in 09. So yes, there is a structure for it. Could there be improvements? Yes, like everything else. Safety is is a top priority for myself, specifically on our children, not just being safe on the ground, but not physically, but also mentally. So making sure that if they come up with any issues or something, that we have a system, and then to make sure that there's transparency so that the parents are also involved with that disruption in class, shall I say, if that might occur, or on the playground or something, there was some type of disruption between two students. At least the parents should be informed about it. And I'm pretty sure that we do that. I just wanted to make sure that you guys know that we do have a way of doing it. The board specifically has a way of making sure that the policies are set in standard. But when the question, I've noticed that the people keep missing the inclusive part to that question. Inclusive. When the person asks the question inclusive, what is I would actually counter with, what do you specifically mean by inclusivity? Are you referring to a theory of some sort, or a fundamental aspect? I'm trying to understand what this question is coming at when you're adding the word inclusive, because I'm pretty sure our students are pretty well equally treated, pretty happily, just a little bit. There's some areas that could be worked on for transparency, shall I say. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jennings, any rebuttal?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Williams? Rebuttal?
No, there's no rebuttal, but I would like to add to what Mr. Bacon said. I understand. When I was going to school, there were certain bathrooms as a student you just didn't go into because you may get beat up or bullied. And this happened to me a couple of times, and it's like, this isn't acceptable. As far as on-ground operations, a teacher or a staff member or a member of the administration needs to keep an eye on what's going on, like in the boys' bathroom, because some bathrooms you don't go into, and even the teachers didn't like going into. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Mr. Bacon, any rebuttal?
No.
Okay. The next question will go to Mr. Williams. What do you believe are the reasons the district is not providing necessary school supplies, such as crayons, pencils, and papers?
Very expensive items. It's interesting. If you multiplied all the students times what they would need to do their work, and it sounds like primary elementary school level work runs into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I can understand some students, they don't have the money. Their parents don't have the money. And, having supplemental resources in the classroom is important. But this is something, I expect the parents to carry, unless, of course, the student can't afford it. Thank you.
Mr. Bacon?
Could you re-ask the question one more time?
Sure. What do you believe are the reasons the district is not providing necessary school supplies such as crayons, pencils, and paper?
Like what William said, yes, it comes back to the funding and how much these items cost per student, depending on the amount, the quantity of what we're trying to provide. I do also believe that it should come down to the parents, and maybe the parents can come together and do like what they did back in my time. We had donation drives all the time at the school where people can donate, pencils, pens, papers, binders, books. We had this type of stuff back in the day. I just don't see it as often, but I think if we were to add something more implemented into that, it could help. So it does bring back to the parents trying to be organizing with their kids, joining the PTA and stuff like that, and helping out where they can. I think that there could be some improvement on that, but it just comes down to the funding and how much it really costs, because it does get into the hundreds of thousands of dollars for this stuff.
Mr. Jennings?
Yeah, I think that, it definitely comes down to funding, but it also comes down to parental buy-in. If a parent can afford to buy supplies for their child, then absolutely that gives them their buy-in. If they can't, then obviously our district has ways to help provide what the student needs. I mean, our district's going to make sure that a student is going to have what they need to be successful, whether there's fundraising efforts to or not. I mean, we're going to make sure that the students have what they need to be successful. Again, I also believe parent buy-in is a big thing, and if parents are helping to raise funds to buy those things, that gives us buy-in and parental involvement and things like that. And hopefully by doing that, we can continue with parental involvement and get them involved in other things to kind of help the district move forward and be involved, so we can hear from them and know exactly what the needs are.
Okay, Mr. Williams, any rebuttal?
No rebuttal.
Mr. Bacon?
No rebuttal.
Mr. Jennings?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, the next question will go to Mr. Bacon. What is your most important issue, and explain why?
My most important issue would be the academics side. From the last several years that I've been watching the grades for academics, it's sitting at roughly a C on average, and I find that there could be some improvement in there. Is it the teacher's fault? Maybe. Is it the student's fault? It could be. There's a lot of variables that can come into it. So I think that we should be able to, I want to be able to bring in more ways that we can inspire our children to want to be educated through means of art or music, some form of liberal arts forms, I guess we could say. We should probably be going back to more of a restoration of certain learning aspects, because some of this Common Core stuff that I've been seeing isn't really helping. It's more like going to a job for a kid, and I don't think that it's really helping. So maybe we should try to restructure it again and try something a little bit different, because it doesn't seem to be improving anywhere. Thank you.
Mr. Jennings? Do you want me to repeat?
Could you repeat that question?
Sure. What is your most important issue, and explain why?
Well, I mean, public schools across the state and the region, they continue to face challenges with pandemic recovery, decline in enrollment. There's so many. Shrinking state and federal funding, and increase in social and emotional needs of children. Also, there's two other very significant issues that I believe we need to prioritize, and that's decline in enrollment and employee retention. Because of the high cost of living on the peninsula, young families, they can't afford to live here. Therefore, enrollment and funding are declining. Similarly, teachers and staff have a hard time affording to live here. I believe that as a veterans board member, that I'm confident that I'm the strongest candidate for addressing the issues that MPUSD will face. I mean, during my time on the board, we've increased salaries by right around 28%. Additionally, I just lost my train of thought. Dadgum. Additionally, due to a decline in enrollment, the board made a difficult and necessary decision to close 3 schools. We have more work to do, but I believe that my track record is one in which, we've made difficult decisions and tackled the most pressing issues head on, and that's what I will continue to do. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Williams.
I think there's a lot of balancing going on here. Housing for teachers, declining enrollments. The 2 issues that I would be most concerned about right now that are on my foremost for me are critical teaching of critical race theory and protecting parents' rights. Now, with those rights also come responsibilities as well. That it's, if you get a call from the school saying my son or daughter is missing all afternoon, and your son or daughter says, no, I was there. The teacher didn't take didn't take attendance. Well, if that happens consistently, it's, I love you, my son or daughter, but we're going to have to improve that. And you being in the classroom is where it starts. And like Mr. Bacon said, if the child's motivated and inspired to learn something, they'll go for it. On the other hand, you have teachers who are demoralized because they're having trouble making ends meet. Well, that's an issue too. So it's all a question of balance. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Bacon, any rebuttal?
No.
Mr.
thank you.
Jennings? Oh,
No, sir. Sorry about that. No, thanks.
Okay, Mr. Williams.
No rebuttal.
Okay, moving on to question number 7. Mr. Jennings, you'll go first here. That question is, how do you plan to address the decline in student enrollment?
Wow, that's a tough one. I think the board's done a solid job in addressing student enrollment. Our staff and us and the board saw this coming a few years back. It comes back to education and engaging the community about what's important. We have to, decline in enrollment is a huge deal. A lot of it comes back to, obviously, cost of living on the peninsula. I mean, young families can't afford to live here, and affordable housing. Young families can't afford to be here. I believe that is a big part of our decline in enrollment is our economy and our cost of living here. And I believe that it's going to continue to get worse, unfortunately, and hopefully in the future we can, our state and federal government can help to alleviate the cost of living, and our local communities and county can build more affordable housing to keep young families here. Without the young families, we're not going to have the students because kids grow up, unfortunately, and move on, which is great. But we need to address our cost of living and affordable housing in order to help alleviate the decline in enrollment problem.
Mr. Williams?
Yeah, I've come to the same conclusion as Mr. Jennings. My assessment is that, in the short term, this may, a decline in enrollment may actually benefit the classroom environment, because you have a lower student to teacher ratio, and which means an opportunity for more individualized attention to each student. But in the overall picture, that is going to become more problematic as enrollment declines. And I don't see an easy way out. We just have to manage our resources to make the most of them for each school. Thank you.
Mr. Bacon?
I agree with what Joe was saying earlier, specifically that the counterbalancing to the whole, yeah, there's a positive side to the decline, but there's also the negative side to the decline of student enrollment. And it does come back down to the housing academics, but it also comes down to the funding of the buses specifically to go and pick up the kids as well, because there's the gas prices are going up as well. So the policies that are being inflicted upon the ever rising tax rates that they're doing is causing harm to the families. So they have to either move out or find another place to move, and that's a problem. So there's this trickle down effect that comes into play that we have to take a look at from all standards. It's not just a board issue. It's an overall like county issue, and then it comes to and then it becomes a state issue. So it all reflects back to the policies that come trickling down from big old Sacramento there to increase the taxes, which increases this cost of living, which increases the gas prices, which increases the funding to give the students the proper education, to hire the right teachers, to bring in the right principals, to talk to the right, and to get the right people to come in and hire them for their merits on what they do, and to make sure that they're doing a really well job. It's a really hard task. It's a trickle down effect, like I said, and there's a benefits to it, but there's also the decline to it. Is there room for improvement? We could. I just don't really have a huge view of it, of what the answer could be, because there's multiple possibilities at this time. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jennings, any rebuttal?
Just that, I mean, decline in enrollment is a problem statewide, and it all it does is it reduces the funding, at the school district level to fund the schools in order to keep class sizes low and things like that. If you don't have the funding to hire the teachers, then you can't keep the class sizes low. We have to have that funding, and decline in enrollment, reduces that funding, because we're funded per student per day that they attend. And if we don't have that funding, then we can't do it. We can't keep class sizes low and things like that. And I believe that we really have to tackle, and go to the state and advocate for affordable housing, and the state and the county and the city governments and stuff, and really advocate for affordable housing to keep these young families here, period. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Williams, any rebuttal?
No rebuttal, but my assessment is the same as Mr. Jennings
Okay.
and Mr. Bacon.
Mr. Bacon, rebuttal?
No rebuttal.
Okay, moving on to the next question. How do you prepare students for the next decade? That goes to Mr. Williams.
How do you prepare students for the next decade? there's a lot of things. Well, basically, you look at the fundamentals. It's like we live in a very fast-paced, high-tech world, and you want to prepare the students at all levels to meet that challenge. I mean, maybe at the elementary level, or from kindergarten, it's like, how do you play nice together in the sandbox? And then in elementary, reading and writing and arithmetic, and then you build on each of those skills throughout the years. So people are confident in what they do. They don't rely on a calculator unless you have an advanced calculus type of math problem. But you get them so they can be able to take care of themselves when they graduate, and they'll have the fundamental skills to continue. Perhaps they'll choose a trade, or perhaps they'll choose a profession. But whatever they do, we need to get them so they're prepared for their adult lives. Thank you.
Mr. Bacon.
I'm going to keep my answer simple. We should be inspiring our children to want to learn, and then we teach them how to think, not what to think. Thank you.
Mr. Jennings.
How to prepare your students for the next decade. First and foremost, I think it's about the schools and the school district being involved in the community, knowing what the needs are. And then, we have to frame our educational services around the needs of the community, and around the needs of the children, obviously, as well. I mean, there's some kids, some students that aren't going to go to college, but we need to prepare them. Especially those that want to go to college, those that don't want to go to college, to teach them some career technical classes and stuff, such as, like, now, I think, if memory serves, we've got medical, we've got culinary, we've got a lot of different pathways to put a student on to make them successful after graduation. And I do believe that if the district is really involved with the communities that they're serving, and they see the needs and they see where the community is going, that we can keep our educational system ahead or up with that, in order to teach our students, and prepare them for the next decade. Who knows, in the next decade, it may be that we need more horticulturalists than we do doctors or culinary folks and hospitality folks. Well, then that's where the district would need to go. So I really think that we have to really be involved with the communities as a district, and know where we're going, and see the needs of the community, and build our program in order to fulfill that, and then prepare the students to be able to fulfill those jobs that will be coming up.
Okay, Mr. Williams, any rebuttal?
No rebuttal.
And Mr. Bacon?
No rebuttal.
Mr. Jennings?
No rebuttal. We just have to really be involved with our community as a school district, and as board members, and school district staff, and know where try to figure out where the community is going, to better prepare and make sure that our students are prepared to be functioning members of society.
Okay, Mr. Bacon, this next question will start with you. What do you think are the biggest challenges facing MPUSD in the next 4 years, and why are you the best candidate to address them?
Some of the bigger issues that I've noticed with some of the resolutions that have come out of the board about LGBTQ gender theory ideology. I don't think that it's appropriate for a kindergartner to know about sexual orientation of any sort. Doesn't matter what side you're on. I just don't think it's appropriate for even going all the way up into 6th grade. I didn't actually learn anything about sex ed until I was maybe 7th, 8th grade. And it was basic biology stuff. Men went to one room, girls went to another, and we talked over it. Is there a time when the boys talked about the girls? Yeah, we did. We actually did go over that, but with all the boys. And so there is a specific way to do that. And I think this whole gender theory of teaching our children that they can be whatever they want to be, pick a thing on the unicorn thing that I've been seeing, not from the district here, just in general, I'm trying to keep that out. I'm going to be like a shield to try and protect our children from trying to really seeing what this is, because I don't think it's appropriate for our schools. And that's why I think I'd be your best candidate, because I've not only lived the life of the transgender theory, I was a woman for 7 years of my life. I portrayed myself as that. And then I've studied it for the last 5.5 years of trying to really understand and grasp what this whole idea is. And to me, it's still a theory. There's no foundation to it. So I don't think it's appropriate for children to learn. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jennings.
Can you repeat that question one more time, please?
Yes, what do you think are the biggest challenges facing MPUSD in the next 4 years? And why are you the best candidate to address them?
Again, I'll go back. I think I said it earlier. I mean, public schools across the state and the region. I mean, we continue to face issues with the pandemic recovery, decline in enrollment, shrinking state and federal funding, and the increased needs, social and emotional needs of students. I mean, we have to tackle that head on. Again, go back to the cost of living here. That's a huge issue. Teacher retention, staff retention, not just teachers. I mean, we're talking everybody in the district, retaining those high quality folks, working on trying to get affordable housing for teachers, whether the district builds it or we partner with the city or county in order to do that, and to be specific for teachers and school staff members in order for them to afford to stay here. That's what our issues are. I don't, that's where we need to concentrate, and then we will be able to properly educate the students of MPUSD.
Okay, Mr. Williams.
Well, with my 2 opposing candidates, those are hard act to follow. But there's a myriad of issues out there, and they all need to be addressed in a thoughtful and reasoned manner. My biggest concerns, as I've mentioned, are critical race theory and protecting parents' rights, because sexualizing children through different theories is just totally unacceptable. It's unacceptable, and I've got the 30 years of experience with the government and in the private sector, and I know how to get things done, and I think I'd be the right candidate to do the job. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Bacon, any rebuttal?
Just that I got some hard candidates here to try and overcome, because I don't have the expertise as they do, but I hope and willing that, maybe I would be one of the best fits to help stop some of this push stuff and keep the policies from invading certain areas of our schools. So it all comes back to the policies that come down from Sacramento. So as long as we can protect those and protect our children, if we can protect the parental rights.
Okay, Mr. Jennings.
That's rebuttal, correct?
rebuttal?
I don't have any rebuttal. Thank you.
Mr. Williams?
No rebuttal.
Okay. Moving on. The next question will go back to Mr. Jennings to start. How often do you currently attend MPUSD board meetings, and how would you rate the current board's performance?
Well, I'm fully committed to MPUSD board. I mean, I have attended nearly every board meeting since 2013, other than I believe a hospitalization and maybe a vacation for a meeting that I missed. I rate the board performance as pretty good. We listen to the community. We try to involve the community. You have to, as a board member, you have to be committed. I attend so many events. I can't even begin to tell you every event that I've been to over the last 13 years, or well, not 13, but 10 years plus on the board and prior to. I'm fully committed to this board and continuing the path that we're on and where we're going, and hope to be a part to continue on to get us where we need to be inclusive and educate the children.
Okay, Mr. Williams.
Yeah, how often do I attend the board meetings?
And how would you rate the current board's performance?
Okay, I've been monitoring the board meetings via their online meeting minutes, and I've monitored over the last year every board meeting, and my hat goes off to Mr. Jennings, because it can the meetings, I think, can get a little long. But I monitor the board meetings through the minutes. I think the board's done a pretty good job. They've had a lot of obstacles to overcome over the last 3 years. It's like we've had a COVID-19 pandemic to deal with, and in addition to declining enrollments and housing shortages. I think the board has done a pretty good job, and they work closely with the superintendent to make things happen. There are things that I do think need to be reviewed, like, say, board goals. 2017 was the last time the board goals were put up. It's like, how are we doing against that those goals? Things like that. So there needs to be an update and transparency on that. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Bacon.
I've actually, the same with Williams. I didn't actually attend at the place. I was usually at work or something, and I'll be listening to the board meetings. And yeah, I do tip my hat off to Jennings. They can go quite long, and they can get a little hairy sometimes, and there's some fluctuations in it. But I think overall the board is doing a good job because of what we have been coming out of, the whole COVID-19 issue, and the moving of people moving out of California and stuff like that. And the prices of stuff going up and all that. It does. I think the board's doing a decent job for what they're doing. But I was actually going to mention what Williams was talking about with the goals thing. That's the one I was about to mention too. The 2017, the 2017 goals haven't been updated in a while, and I was hoping that maybe we could probably get those updated so we can actually see what we've accomplished because it's good to see what we've achieved so we can better ourselves later on. And I do think that we could maybe update that so that people can have more transparency with the board and what our goals are, so the parents will know what we can do as a community together. So that's what I say to that. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jennings, any rebuttal?
Well, I'll just say that the goals, as the other two gentlemen have stated, yeah, they haven't been updated since 2017, but I believe that our goals are still relevant today, and that we've been working towards those goals. And I think that we'll continue to work towards those goals. I do know that, or let me put it this way, instead of saying I know, I believe that the board, that coming up, we will have a study session to review the goals and see where we're at. And if we need to, change the goals, get rid of the goal, if we've met the goal, we need to tell people we've met that goal and move on, and let's set another goal. We've got to set those targets in order to be successful. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Williams, any rebuttal?
Yeah, I'd just like to see how the school district is done against the goals that were set, and whatever adjustments need to be made, go forward with that. I'm kind of reminded of a management maxim I learned earlier in my career, is that if you can measure it, you can manage it. Thank you.
Okay, and Mr. Bacon, any rebuttal?
Not so much a rebuttal, just a side comment as well. I understand that it's been 5 years since the goal's been placed, so I know that progress takes time. So I understand why there wouldn't be an update, but it's been 5 years. So I do think that there probably should be an update as to where we are really standing at. And because I think 5 years is a good estimate for a goal placement of where we are and where if we have achieved it or not. And then if we have achieved it, what could be a next goal? So thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next question. This will go to Joe Williams. How would you rate Superintendent P.K. Diffenbaugh's performance, and why?
Okay. I give him very high marks for his performance. It's interesting. I think he works very well with the board. He reports to the board through a report at every meeting. There are different initiatives that he's taken throughout the years. Housing is one of them. That's been an active discussion. Other areas that he's gone into have been, I don't know the level of success, because the board meeting minutes don't go that deep sometimes. And so I'd say he has done a very, very good job. He works well with the board, reporting to the board, and I'm looking forward to working with him after November 8th.
Okay, and Mr. Bacon.
I've never actually met the man in person, but I've seen his expertise and where he lies, and watched through the board meetings and stuff like that. I think he has a very good understanding of his position specifically. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit my microphone. I think he's doing a wonderful job with what he's doing. There's room. He can see that there's room for improvements. The struggle that he's having with the housing it's a difficult topic to a difficult goal to achieve, because it takes a lot of effort from all sources, all sides. It's not just a one-man band when it comes to that. So I tip my hat to him. I respect him, and I would be willing to sit down and work with him face to face and see what we can come up with for some solutions. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jennings.
One of the board decisions that I'm most proud of is the one for hiring Dr. Diffenbaugh in 2014. In the 9 years he's been the superintendent, he's worked with the board, with our Board of Education, and carried out our vision and direction. He deserves, in my opinion, he deserves an A+ for his commitment to the students in the MPUSD community. His leadership and vision has put the district on a solid footing and a path forward. Our vision of becoming one of the finest public school systems in the country. I mean, that's our vision. That's what we want to be. We've got a long way to go, but we've made significant progress. And as a board member, I totally understand my role is not to micromanage or push my individual agenda, but to set the vision and direction and hold the superintendent and his team accountable for results. Dr. Diffenbaugh has done a tremendous job from the start. When I started on this board, the big thing was transparency, and it really wasn't there. And now we're live on AMP, we're on Zoom, we have a great communications team, and all this from Dr. Diffenbaugh's leadership. And all of the changes in the district, obviously a lot of it comes from the board, some of it, most of it, a lot of it comes from Dr. Diffenbaugh himself, and coming to the board and saying, I think this is a great idea. And the board either gets behind it, or maybe we may not. But I believe Dr. Diffenbaugh is doing a fine job, and I do believe that yes, we will eventually be one of the finest school systems in the country under Dr. Diffenbaugh's leadership.
Okay, Mr. Williams, any rebuttal?
No rebuttal. Total
Okay.
agreement.
Mr. Bacon
No rebuttal.
and Mr. Jennings.
No rebuttal, thank you.
Okay, and the next question will go to Mr. Bacon. What is your vision to help students make up for the learning loss due to the pandemic closures?
Allowing options for students to be able to get extra credit learnings and stuff like that. Being able to try and find a way to where we can help students after school as well if they need it. I know we have some awesome after school programs that would be very beneficial for them. It's just hard when to fund them because the lack of funding lately. So it's imperative that we try to get people to stay here in the area so we can have the funding, so we can have these after school tutor sessions and stuff like that, specifically in the K through 3rd grade area for linguistics on the mouth, facial and speech, emotional hearings, all that stuff. We'd just be able to give them the options and availabilities for it. I know we have them here. It's just the lack of funding. It's a little bit harder. So maybe we try and figure out a way to get people to stay in the area so we can have the funding, so we can have these extra curriculars for our students to better themselves for after school activities.
Okay, Mr. Jennings.
Well, as we continue to recover from the global pandemic, one of the things that I'm proud of is the guidance and direction that the board has provided to staff. And that's huge. The board's invested approximately $4 million in funding to prioritize learning loss. And the board's boy, I tell you, I wish I could keep my train of thought. I go in so many places. Like I said, the board has invested approximately $4 million in funding to prioritize learning loss, as well as social and emotional supports for our students and programs and services. We voted to support and supported to increase tutoring in and after school, increase staffing in the classroom, as well as other personnel, such as mental health clinicians, family service specialists, to further support students beyond academics. I think that this has been a big issue for the mental health of our students, and I believe that the district and the funding that the district has earmarked for programs for mental health is a big deal to try to help these students and combat the learning loss and try to get them caught up. Thank you.
Okay, and Mr. Williams.
I agree with Mr. Jennings. Lots been done. A lot of this is going to fall. There's a lot of opportunities that the schools provide. It's going to be up to the parents to help make sure that their kids take advantage of this. Summer school, online programs, tutoring. I've worked as an aide with some kids, not in the Monterey Peninsula Unified School District, but at different times, working with kids on math. And, just a little one-on-one time really pays off. It really does. And with the parents, I really encourage them to take advantage of the opportunities that are available. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Bacon, do you have any rebuttal?
No.
Mr. Jennings?
No.
Mr. Williams?
No.
Okay, we'll move on. This one will we'll start with Tom Jennings. Going forward, what should MPUSD do about school resource officers?
Well, that's a hot button item. The board voted to end school resource officer funding and invest in multi-tiered systems of support. To be perfectly honest, I was against that decision. I was one of the two that voted against ending the funding for school resource officers based on my experience with the Marina Police Department and the positive impact that our SRO program in Marina has had on our community and on our students. I was very disappointed that the officers are no longer on campus. The district has a good working relationship with our local law enforcement departments, and I know that if needed, that they will help us on a moment's notice if we need to. I think that where we're at is a good place, but I think we can do better. I would honestly like to see school resource officers back in the schools, but I don't believe that that's where our community's at right now. Our community's at the spot where they want more mental health supports and things like that. And if that's where our community is, then that's what our district needs to concentrate on, regardless of my own opinion, whether I think school resource officers are the best or not to be in the schools. Multi-tiered systems of support seem to work. And as long as we continue to have the good relationships with our local police departments, and they're there to help us on a moment's notice with issues, whether they may be minor or major, we want to make sure that we continue to have those great relationships with them. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Williams.
It's unfortunate that the board as a whole is not paying more attention to this issue. And I think school safety is paramount for each and every student. I do not think there's things that can be done to protect the students, and I'm all for supporting school resource officers being on site. I strongly support that because I want your kids safe. And I don't want tragedies like Uvalde or Sandy Hook taking place on the peninsula. That's just not acceptable. I recognize that other board members may think there's other priorities on spending, but this is a top one for me. And there's also things that can be done in terms of infrastructure, passive security systems on doors that when they close, they lock. And it can even reach to school computer systems as well. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Bacon.
I actually strongly stand with having school resource officers on campus. I believed in protecting your children while you're at work and your child's at the care of the school, that we should be able to have that protection. But there is also the mental side of things as well. The crime rate in our area isn't really that high. We do have some crime every now and then, but it's not as high or extensive as to what we could need a resource officer every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We don't really need that, but there should be a time, like Jennings said, that we have this relationship with the officers there, and I do see it because I've seen them before going to Seaside High for back in 2008, 2009. There was an incident that happened, and I get why they're not always there, but they will be there for us when we need them. It's just maybe we could have better security systems, locking doors, magnetic doors that can seal on their own, cameras in certain areas of the schools for weak points, stuff like that. These are easy things that we can do ourselves as parents if we were to fund it to help bring that in. There is that possibility. It's just there's a lot of codes that we'd have to go through to get that done. It wouldn't cost much, but it would still be a decent price. I just think I believe that safety is the number one thing as well for our children. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jennings, any rebuttal?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say that, I believe that we do have work to do in the safety of our schools, but I do believe that our schools are safe. We do have pretty sophisticated security systems and camera systems to ensure, records. If an incident were to happen, we have records, and our relationship again with our local police departments is very good, and they will come and help us. I do believe our security systems in our schools probably need work, but I do believe that we do have pretty good security at our schools, and we have a very diligent staff who is always keeping staff and teachers who's always keeping an eye out for things of concern. And if something of concern does come up, there's an immediate response to that. I believe, if memory serves, we did get a grant for school safety. The amount that we got that grant for has escaped me, of course, but we did get a grant for school safety recently, and I know that district staff is working on reviewing all of our 18 campuses to ensure that we can put the money to good use to ensure safety of our students. But I do believe that at this point, our students are safe.
Okay, Mr. Williams, any rebuttal?
No rebuttal, but I'd like to add that, school safety would also include school computer assets as well, being the school getting hacked and held for ransomware or held for ransom, but also with the students as well. It's like if a student is working on a school computer, has a firewall been set up to make sure that computer isn't easy to access by somebody who you don't want in your business. Or vice versa, the student reaching out to someplace where they don't need to go. Firewalls need to be established if they're not already. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Bacon, any rebuttal?
No rebuttal, just a slight side comment about the computer online stuff. The school system does have a firewall. It just could use some updates because there's some back doors that I used to be able to get into as a kid. So with it, it's a task that children are very smart, they're very agile, they're very intelligent, and they know how to break certain things. We teach them how to do coding and stuff, so they go and practice and they break our firewalls. So we just need to probably up the ante a little bit on the firewalls. So we do have a really good system for firewall protection. It's just, it could use some work because we have improved students. So.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question. But we're getting close to the 2:30 and I want you all to have your opportunity to make your closing statements. This question will start with Joe Williams. The current board certified an EIR for the Stadium Light project at Dan Albert Stadium. Is there anything you would have done differently on that project / process?
You know, I'd like to know more about that. Unfortunately, this is something was, as near as I could tell, was discussed behind closed doors with the board for good reason. It involves discussions with an attorney, and that is something that the board was privy to. I don't have enough information to make a wise comment on that. So no comment.
Okay, that's fine. Mr. Bacon.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. I don't really know exactly what happened behind closed doors about it because there is not much information that I can find because I'm not a board member. So I honestly don't have an answer either for that one. There's several outcomes that can come from it. I can't give a factual answer to that specific question. It's out of the range of what I do know and what I don't know. But if I don't know something, I will definitely give you an answer in the future.
Mr. Jennings.
Well, I can tell you the discussions in closed session were only about litigation. The entire project was in the public eye from the beginning. You know, I believe that the board and the staff of MPUSD did everything it could do to avoid the current litigation. The attorney for the plaintiffs is one who sued several public agencies before. I think this is a great project that our students deserve, and it's sad that a couple of folks in the community are trying to stop it. I mean,
Okay.
the district has said, is my time up? I apologize.
No, I thought you
Okay.
ended.
I'm sorry, I was trying to get my thoughts together again. I think I know the district made several concessions in an attempt to keep this project moving forward, including limiting lights past 8, I believe it was 8 p.m. To 5 or 6 nights a week, and restricting field use to only MPUSD teams. You know, we and restricting use of fields on the weekend. There's just so much that the district did to try to avoid litigation that we could, but it only takes one person. It only takes a couple of folks to get a lawyer who's willing to take it pro bono, So these folks that are suing don't have to put skin in the game. And the lawyer gets what they can get from the district. And I think that's totally wrong. I believe that it's a great project for our district, and we need to continue to move forward with it.
Okay, any rebuttal, Mr. Williams,
No rebuttal.
Mr. Bacon,
No rebuttal.
Mr. Jennings?
No rebuttal.
Okay, I think that should be the last question because we're now at 2:25, and you will each have 2 minutes to make a closing statement. And the order of rotation will be Mr. Bacon will go first, then Mr. Williams, and then Mr. Jennings. So Mr. Bacon, would you like to give your 2-minute closing statement?
Again, my name is David Bacon, and I'm running for the trustee area of District 2 and MPUSD, Board of Education. I stand on 3 golden Fs, which is faith is about upholding good morals and values as our children observe our actions. Family is about protecting parental rights. Freedom is the ability to speak our minds when we see something wrong or have an opinion. So it's time we start saying no more. No more gender theory, no more critical race theory, no more soft target schools, and definitely no more trains of abuses on our children, referring to forced masks and jabs. Together, we can defend American values. You can find me at baconforschoolboard.com. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Williams, you have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
I'm promoting excellence in education for your kids in District 2 and throughout the school district. I'm the candidate who will focus on preventing critical race theory from being taught in our schools and protecting parents' rights. I understand how government works. My qualifications include over 30 years of financial management experience in both the public and private sectors. I have an MBA, a couple bachelor's degrees in business and political science, and I graduated from Monterey Peninsula College. I want to thank the nonprofit organization, Marina in Motion, and American Legion for hosting and presenting this forum. I want to thank my fellow candidates for presenting their views, because discussing ideas or how problems are solved. As a candidate for MPUSD trusteeship in District 2, I'd be honored to serve you. Please vote for me, Joseph Williams, November 8th, to support excellence in education. Thank you.
Okay, and Mr. Jennings, your closing statement.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me? My microphone just.
No, we can hear you.
1 second. My apologies. See if I can get it to go.
Well, we can hear you.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yes,
You can.
yes.
Okay, great. I can't hear anybody for some reason, but I will go ahead and first start by thanking Marina in Motion and Ms. McIntyre. I really appreciate it. I believe that a board member's most important obligation is to cooperate with the community to develop student achievement in public schools. Therefore, only a reliable, responsive, driven, and compassionate member of the board can help students succeed. The school board has a great responsibility of establishing the most suitable policies and regulations for public schools. Thus, duty calls for a reliable, cooperative, and passionate member, which I consider myself to be. Over the years, working cooperatively with other members of the board, we've accomplished some great things for our Marina community. A couple of examples is Marina High School new gymnasium, the new culinary room, the chemistry lab, the new library. And right now, we just had a meeting for it a couple of days ago, a community meeting for a new turf stadium with a multi-use field that we're planning. We've also completed a number of great projects throughout Marina campuses and district-wide. I believe I'm the best candidate. I have been serving with, with honor and transparency since 2013. And I would be honored to have everybody's vote on November 8th. Thank you.
All right. So Nancy, you're up. Your microphone is muted. There we
Sorry,
go.
I was running my finger on the computer, not on the mouse, not on the touchpad. So I would like to thank all of the candidates for participating in this afternoon's forum, and our moderator, Linda McIntyre, for helping us through this process. It's a unique experience for each one of you. It's a wonderful experience for Marina in Motion. We love doing this. It benefits our community. And I have to say that Linda has done an outstanding job. She's been at this since 9 o'clock this morning, and she does it as a volunteer. So I thank you again for participating, and I wish all of you a great deal of luck in the election coming up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You
Marina
have a
Motion.
good day.
Thank you.